All righty, everybody. Well, welcome to our Monday night call. And I have my very sweet dear friend Misty here as my guest today. And I just want to let you know a little bit about her. First of all, she's from Texas. And it was really weird when we met. Do you remember when we met? I remember we met at Leaders Excellence about a year and a half ago. We were in Fort Lauderdale and we just happened to be sitting beside each other at a table and we just started talking and I just kept going back to her. I just kept going back to her. She's just one of those people I was just so totally drawn to. And I was telling Misty today, I says, I have to tell you, whenever I see one of your lives, I'll stop everything and I'll watch it. Because the one thing about Misty that I absolutely adore, she doesn't mince words. She says it the way it is. And I love her. And I have a feeling she's been in a little trouble with compliance in the past because she now is really good at not saying the words that she's thinking, but we all know exactly what she's saying. So I kind of was laughing. She did a live, and I thought it was today, but it was a couple days ago, and I just happened to see it there. So I followed her all through her health journey, and I wish I had actually met you in Hawaii because I will let you tell the story. I won't get to the whole story, and you can share what you want about your health. But she's had some different struggles health wise, but it's amazing. She's dealt with things with plexus and without plexus. And she's going to talk a little bit about why it's so important to be healthy in case you ever do become ill and the difference that everything has been because she has been on plexus. So I hope, did I get all that good stuff out? You do realize she's amazing, right? I did get that across. Okay. So, and everybody go follow her, by the way, Misty Worrell. You will love her posts are perfect. The best. Okay. Take it away, Misty.
Well, thank you very much for all that. Don't know where to start. So I think the best place to start is a long, long time ago, because it really does lead up to where I am right now. I started at about 17 years old. I started having some female reproductive issues and ended up having way back then, really the only fix for my issues, and it was ovarian cysts that ruptured, was a DNC. And so, had to go to the emergency room, had to have them removed. And from then on, I never really had normal cycles. But, I was 17. Who cares? You just dealt with it and you went on about your business. And back then, it was a long time ago, y'all. Back then, there really wasn't a lot in medicine. Like you just weren't treating stuff like that. And the only option they really wanted to treat me with was birth control. And I was not about that. So fast forward, I got into the healthcare industry at about 23, 24 years old. And over time, I worked shift work and it was very long, very difficult job. And I noticed at about 3 or 4 years in, I was starting to have some really intense IBS symptoms, the bloating and the cramping every time I ate. I was known as the girl who had to be close to every bathroom, everywhere we went. If I was going to a hospital to drop a patient off, I knew exactly where the restrooms were. It was terrible. And, you ate a lot on the go, and I really did ignore it for a long time. And that went on, y'all. That went on. It did not just stay there. I started having worse cycles, and I started having the most horrendous pain and headaches that came with them every month. Well, fast forward to 2013. Late in 2013, I started having some really bad GI issues that were very new to me, and it ended up being pancreatitis, and it scared the snot out of me. And my doctor actually told me, he says, I don't know that you necessarily just have pancreatitis, but you definitely got really bad IBS. And I can either put you on a medicine or I can put you on a probiotic. Well, naturally, I was like, probiotic, let's go. And so he had this beautiful sign on his desk that the reps from that company had brought him with all the free samples, and they gave me a 12-day supply and told me I need to go buy more, and I did, and they were very expensive. And about 2 months later, I was still had my third visit to the hospital for pancreatitis and IBS. So it really didn't do much for me. So but I reached out to somebody. This is, y'all may relate to this, I don't know, but I reached out to somebody who was not a close friend. I had a cousin who talked about plexus all the time on social media. I did not go to her. I went to the not close friend and said, I need to try your stuff. but don't tell anybody I'm doing it. There's not going to be anything posted, and we're not going to be friends ever if you tell anybody that I'm doing this, and don't ever ask me to sell it, because that will never happen. I am successful. I have a 6-figure income. I am great. I was not great, by the way. I cried like 9 out of 10 times that I would be going to work and coming home from work. I hated what I was doing, but I got these products, and within 3 days, I'm not even exaggerating, 3 days, I felt like a different person. And I always thought it was a fluke. So what do you do when you think something's a fluke? You stop using it. Stopped using it. Within about 2 or 3 days, they didn't come inching back. They came barreling back. And I got right back on everything and was like, that's it. This is good to go. Told a few coworkers about it because they noticed I was no longer running to the bathroom after every meal we ate. And they started using it. And so I thought, well, this is nice. And I got a little $50 check, my first check. And I thought, well, that's fun. That's great. That's, I'll go shopping with that. I'll pay for gas. And then my second check was about $600. And it paid for a cruise that my husband and I, we'd never been on a vacation, and it paid for a cruise. Again, y'all, I'm working full time. This is not a job for me. This is not something I want to be a job. I didn't engage. I was just telling people about it, right? So this is 2014 that we're in now. Everything's great. And then in 2015, July of 2015, I was at a work event. At this point, I worked for our state agency for disaster management. And my schedule was very hectic. I worked about 80 hours a week. I loved what I was doing, but still was exhausted and didn't take care of myself like I should have been. I was using a couple of Plexus products, but something was not right. And on July the 4th, I went home at about 2 a.m. And was telling my husband that my calves were killing me, and I didn't know what was going on. And we joked that I had DVTs, and it ended up not being a joke. I ended up having DVTs in both legs. I ended up having about 20 pulmonary embolisms in each lung. And that, if y'all don't know what that is, that's blood clots that travel to your heart. If they're too big, that's what causes the heart attack. So they were small enough that they were traveling through and getting into my lungs and not actually causing a huge blockage in my heart. It did not make sense. About the same time, I started having some really severe bleeding. And it was to the point where I was as white as this stuff behind me. It was horrible. I went on like this for 4 weeks. Nobody could answer there was no answer for me. Let's just give you this medicine. Let's give you this medicine. Let's give you this medicine. Stop all your supplements. And naturally, when you're scared like that and you're so sick, you do it. And after 4 weeks, finally, I told my husband, I said, I'm going to die. There's no doubt that today's the day. It was a Tuesday morning. I said, today's the day it's going to happen, because I can't, there's something really bad wrong. He picked me up, carried me to the ER, and we found out that I had stage 3C ovarian cancer. It was severe. The blood thinners that they had me on for the blood clots, and with me bleeding like I was, had taken a really nasty turn, but it saved my life because I wouldn't have ended up in the hospital when I did. I went through chemo. They started chemo again. Stop all your supplements. This is where the story is going to change here in a little bit. Stop all your supplements. Can't have supplements while you're in chemo. I didn't ask any questions. This is all new to me, right? All of it. Scared to death. And I don't know if anybody knows here, but ovarian cancer is the #1 leading reproductive fatal cancer among women. 85% of the women who are diagnosed with it die within 1 year. And it is, there's no screening for it. So there is no way to screen. So, and this is back in 2015, remember? So about midway through, my doctor told me I showed up to my appointment. I was having weekly chemo. And I showed up to my appointment and she told me, "Why are you in a wheelchair?" I said, "Because I can't walk." "Well, what's wrong with you?" I told her everything that was going on. And she said, if you can't eat, you will die. And if you can't eat, I can't give you chemo. And if you can't get chemo, the cancer is going to kill you. So you have to figure out a way to eat. I said, "Well, I can't eat. Everything hurts my stomach. It's like that worst IBS I've ever had in my life, only on steroids now, like literally." And she said, "Well, those are your options. If you want to live, we got to fix it, and no medicine's going to fix it. So we need to get you on a really good probiotic." And I was like, "I know what that is. I know what it is." But I didn't go get it. Went right back to the store, easy access. I told my husband, "Get 3 or 4 kinds, get the most expensive ones on the shelf. And if they've got refrigerated ones, you better get that one too." I was like, I was stupid and I already knew what was going to fix it. After about 2 weeks, I was worse. And all of a sudden the light bulb went off. I reached out to my friend, another friend, the upline of the girl that I'd started with, who I'd met. And we got me some Probio 5. Again, within about 4 or 5 days, I was not only eating, I ended up gaining about 30 pounds in about a month, which is where we wanted me to be. So I started on a whole routine. I got on multiple products and started feeling so much better. This was midway through, but I was still so sick from everything that happened before. The recovery was, I can't even describe the level of intensity. It was horrible. So I finished chemo on December the 16th, 2015. I'm sorry, December 21st, 2015. And by February 1st, I was off of every medication. I had no oral meds. I was on about 12 Plexus products. And I told my oncologist, "This is where I'm going to stay. I'm not going to, I mean, we can have conversations about what you know about nutrients and what I now know. You're going to lose, but let's go." And she lost. And I went 7 years with no evidence of disease. Now, with ovarian cancer, you know that it's coming back. It comes back 100% of the time. There is no if, it's when. My whole goal at this point was to train my body to be able to fight when it comes back. Because when I went into cancer the first time, already sick with IBS, and what I didn't know was I also had severe endometriosis, had no idea. Huge risk factor for ovarian cancer, huge, had no idea. I was already so sick with all that inflammatory disease in my belly that my body, when it got cancer, could not fight. And it almost killed me multiple times. I stayed in the hospital more than I was at home during chemo. So what I didn't mention was at 12 weeks and 1 day, I don't know if everybody here's in the US, I know a lot of you are, but at 12 weeks and 1 day, FMLA runs out. You no longer have that little cushion to help you with work. And my employer, who was a state employer, we were a contractor of the state, sent me a certified letter stating that if I could not return to work immediately during the first round of chemo, mind you, remember I was sick the whole time, almost dead, that I would not be able to keep my position. And so I was terminated midway through chemo and lost my insurance and my 6-figure income. And at that point, I made the decision that no one except me would be responsible for my financial health, because the strain that put on my family was not needed at that point. And I did not have a backup. There was no backup plan for me. So we fast forward on to 2022. I was asymptomatic. I went in for a routine CAT scan that I get every year, and something weird showed up. Something, had no symptoms. What we found was that ovarian cancer, so without ovaries, because I had a full hysterectomy and oophorectomy and got all my stuff pulled out, girls. And let me tell you something, that's a very hard recovery, but it is also not a guarantee you will not get a recurrence, because You think you don't have ovaries, you can't get it again. Well, I had no ovaries and I got it again. Those cells slough off and they just land, and they're they're insidious. They're terrible. And mine landed on the outside of my colon and just kind of hung out there. My body was in such an alkaline state and it was such in a healthy state, it did not spread. It remained encapsulated. It remained in one place. And it just so happened to grow into some scar tissue from my first surgery. And that's what showed up on the CT, was the scar tissue had expanded. That's the reason my doctor went in for an exploratory. She found this new small mass. We removed it. I had a bowel resection. She's like, I don't even know how you were pooping. I was like, I do. I never had a single bad poop. And in fact, they were shocked at my recovery in the hospital because I went to the bathroom within 24 hours of having a bowel resection, which is unheard of. But I also had my full complement of my Plexus products sitting on my little counter. And so I stayed on those products the whole time, and my doctor was not pleased, but I was like, sorry. So fast forward, this is where it gets stupid. This year, actually December, I went in for my routine CAT scan, my annual scan, and they found that scar tissue that we had removed that was growing into, it was removed during the bowel resection. It was back. And we also found a spot on my liver. So very small, but still there. And this time, about a month before we found all this, I did not know this, but when they send these ovarian masses off for genetic testing, it takes a year for them to get the results back. Most people don't survive it that long to ever have a result to be listening to. I was so healthy going into it that my recovery was so fantastic that I again had no symptoms. The problem with it was the other thing that was found on my scan that was very concerning was the scar tissue where the new mass had started growing was growing into my ureter, and it actually cut off the ureter to my kidney. And so I lost the function of one kidney. So I'm down to one kidney now. And you know, that is bothersome, right? Because now I've got to go through treatment with one kidney and it affects your liver and your kidney. So it's all these things, right? And she's like, you're just so healthy. Like, you're just like my healthiest patient. And she sees a lot of patients. And she said, I'm not going to argue with you about what you're going to do, but we're going to have to put you back in chemo. There is no surgery. We're going to put you in chemo. We're going to kill this cancer. We're going to get you back into remission. And I know you're going to do what you're going to do. And I said, yes, I am. So I have, and it's a very hard chemo. This is probably the three most potent chemo drugs. Two of them are chemo, rather, and one's immunotherapy that there is. I mean, one's the red devil, for God's sakes, the name alone. And I just had hopefully my last treatment last Wednesday. I have immunotherapy on Wednesday of this week, my last one, hopefully. And then I have my CT to see if it did what it was supposed to do on Thursday. So if you wait to get healthy until you get sick, it may not turn out so good. I waited, I let all that inflammatory disease stay in my body. And what we have to remember is it doesn't stay put. It spreads. Inflammation is in your blood. And when it's in your bloodstream, it goes everywhere. And so if we can start controlling some of that inflammatory process and we can get our bodies into a nice alkaline state, I'm not going to say you're going to ever prevent cancer, but what you can do is get your body in fight mode. So if you do get a diagnosis, and not just cancer, any of it, you're going to be so much more able to fight as you go that you will be absolutely shocked. I mean, I love that I actually have a story of a before and after kinda. Because before was not fun and I was scared to death I was gonna die. I found out the day or 2 days after I got home from having my surgery and finding out my diagnosis that we were gonna have our first grandbaby. And I needed to be here. And so it was a driving force for me. And I've lived now to see 4 grandbabies born. And I'm part of their life. And I get to go and watch baseball tournaments and go to, well, they all play baseball. Go to baseball tournaments. That's all we do. We do baseball. It's all baseball. But I get to be there for school events and Christmases and birthdays and those things matter. And even during chemo, I was well enough to still be part of all that. Because the first time I wasn't. The first time I had to be carried from room to room. And I stayed in basically a reclined position the whole time because I was too sick from all of my previous illnesses. So here's interesting information too. I actually went to a leaders retreat recently to Punta Cana. I made it there on the 14th. Woohoo! And I flew right back home on the 16th, medical emergent evacuation because I developed a blood clot from my port in my IJ. So it was 5 inches long. It went from here all the way to here, and I had PEs in my lung again. So again, it should have killed me. We had to make a decision, fly back and just get to the States or go to a Dominican Republican hospital and die there. Where was I going to die? That was literally the process. And we made it back to Washington, D.C., went by ambulance over to the hospital and stayed there for 4 days. And then my husband and I got to take a road trip and drive back home and appreciate our beautiful country and get to see a lot of places. Funny, we chose our route based on the hospitals that we knew about because, you know, we're both in the medical industry. So that's how we chose our route home. I did end up in one of the hospitals, went by ambulance the next day from our hotel to the University of Tennessee, where I found out the reason I was feeling so bad because I had the flu. So anyway, that's my story. I would love to answer any questions. I'm sorry it was so long, but it is a real long story.
It's powerful. It's so powerful. And did you guys, anybody didn't know her? Like, how did I not know her? She's, first of all, the Punta Cana girl. I don't know if you heard about the Punta Cana story, but she's the one.
Yeah.
And I could just listen to you talk all day long. Sorry, I'll let everybody else ask questions, but I'm just
I
like,
have two. So I have
chills.
2 questions. I have 2 questions. So first of all, who was the friend that you did not want to tell?
Which one? The one
The
that,
very first time you ordered products, you went to
oh
somebody
yeah,
else.
so she's a Plexus VIP now. So she
Okay.
left Plexus altogether. So she was my daughter's best friend, roommate in college.
Okay.
My daughter was they played tournament. I'm sorry, collegiate softball, and my daughter was a catcher, and her daughter was the pitcher. So we got to know each other through softball.
Yeah. That's funny.
But I didn't know her well at all, which is a perfect reason why you go sign up with a health thing with somebody.
Right. You go on. People sometimes tend to go into the witness protection program. But I'm just curious. You said you took 12 products. What products did you take?
All right, let me write them down because I got to write them. Y'all know how that is. I took Slim, of course. I took ProBio 5. I took BioCleanse. I took Ease. I took Nerve. Well, these are things I still take actually. Mega X, X Factor. Now I took X Factor initially because I was on some blood thinners. And then I did a bunch of research and found out it was okay to go to X Factor Plus because after my hysterectomy, hot flashes, hello, and I did not want those. So X Factor Plus, Vital Biome. Oh, hallelujah. Can we all just thank God for Vital Biome, please? Collagen. Isn't it sad I have to write all these down, y'all? I'm looking through I'm going through my mind in my bathroom right now. All the Active. Oh, hello, Active. Hydrate. Lots and lots of hydrate. Chemo is very dehydrating. It will zap you before you know it. And that hydrate is so much better than anything you're ever going to buy any of the stores. Like if you're trying to get rid of cancer, you don't need dye and sugar in your supplement. I'm already getting enough of that in food that I don't know is there. So I use basically all of it. And I did start using Balance. I kind of want to see how the balance is going to work for me. I developed a little bit of a sweet tooth with this chemo, which is not unusual. And I'm not about that. So.
And if you want to have some fun, go back to 2022. Well, we met in, I think it was September. Her hair growth journey with collagen. Just watching her hair grow straight up.
I have naturally curly hair, y'all. I just got a smoothing treatment on it. But normally, I do not wake up with hair that goes down. It's like 3 inches shorter and it goes straight up and out. So the collagen has been incredible though. I lost my hair. Well, I did not lose all of my hair. We cut it back to where it was barely even noticeable in 2022 in February, March, April, May, June of 2022. And by December, I mean, this is my growth throughout 2023. So, and I've had it cut like 3 times. So.
Very good. Anybody have any other questions? I'm going to stop the recording now, Carol.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Oh, wait.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a huge
just had
champion.
such-
I'm a
Pardon?
huge champion. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a huge champion for